they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle, and we're back again with another Dynamite review. I can't even remember what we rated last week, but it was, we described it as like the after party after Revolution. It was light, it was fun, it was a bit different, and this week we were sort of back to scheduled programming, I feel like, but yeah, we're gonna do what we normally do, which is run through the episode. So Estelle, what's your overall impression of this week?
I would surmise this week with the word pleasant. It was a pleasant Dynamite, more so focused on the wrestling. We got some good matches and also some interesting talking points, mostly positive, maybe one negative that we'll get to. But yeah, lots of interesting things that I'm looking forward to talking about and hearing people sound off about in the comments. So yeah, what about yourself? Did you find it an easy watch?
Yeah, I think it started off so intensely, like what we've talked about quite a lot in the past with Dynamite kicking off with a huge match, but then it didn't really falter from that. It was big match after big match. It was very heavy on the wrestling quality, and let's put these big stars in the ring and see what they can do, which is great on free television. I mean, you can't complain, can you?
Some people did.
You know what? That's one thing that's actually never accurate in wrestling, saying you can't complain, can you? It's like, well, actually, people can and people will. No matter what happens, people will. We'll get into all of that.
Yeah, so Dynamite began with a bang, quite literally had the pyro, Excalibur reading off the card, which, that made me hype. That man, he's very good at reading things off, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very fast. He never trips over his words. It's very good.
Yeah. So yeah, we started off with the qualifying match for who's going to be Kenny's opponent at Dynasty for the international title. We've got Orange Cassidy, Mike Bailey, Ricochet, and Mark Davis. Sorry, I was like Mark. It's because I wrote them as MB and MD, and it's like trying to remember who are these lads. Who's who exactly? This was a really fun forward. This got a lot of time. A lot of the matches, that like, I guess maybe you could say the AR Fox Osprey, but a lot of the matches were quite fleshed out. They were given a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like they were impressive entities in and of themselves, and this was a great old time. Lots of. I found it quite interesting that they had Orange Cassidy and Mike Bailey sort of squaring off a little bit, because normally in a four-way you don't really get like the two faces squaring off. Usually they just sort of get pushed out of the ring, or they might have like a physical altercation, but these two really did play off of each other, with Cassidy mimicking Bailey's kicks. I was impressed by Orange Cassidy avoiding Bailey's kicks, and as I say, fun to see them have a spat against each other in a four-way. I just don't feel that's something that you see that often, that dynamic.
Yeah, like the two babyfaces, like you said, like actually being violent against each other instead of just like crossing paths, and it being like now look at these two, may the best man win type of thing. Yeah, it was nice for a change. And I liked, the clash of styles in this. There was four really distinct wrestlers who all have different strengths and skills. So that made for a really interesting match. It was very entertaining, and yeah, it had a lot of time, but it didn't feel long. It didn't drag out. It was it was action packed the whole way through. I really enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, Matt Davis in particular like looked really like powerful in this compared to everyone else. I mean, he always does, but like, when you put him in the ring with three smaller guys and you just let him do some of the things he was doing, for example, like power bombing Speedball Mike Bailey on the apron, and oh, it looked really painful. So yeah, like high strong spots like that. Um, and also another standout thing for me was when Ricochet got on commentary. That was really funny. He's a really good heel. He's a really good heel. I mean, I think Ricochet's a quite rare example of like a high flyer who is a really good heel. You don't get that very often, do you? Because normally, if a high flyer turns heel, they change the style because that type of style gets a pop from the crowd. Obviously, if you're a bad guy, you don't want people to cheer. But he's done incredibly well to keep the best of both. He's a really effective heel. He's so fucking annoying, but he's still great in the ring.
Yeah, I think with Ricochet it works because he's always kind of had heat for his high flying style, like, oh, it's just gymnastics, or it's like a fairy prancing around and all this sorts. I think it totally, it can bring that into his character. And yeah, following on with the length, I thought that really worked in the favor of. I felt like going in, this was a predictable match. We both said it's obviously going to be Ricochet versus Omega, and I thought that even though we did get a curveball ending, I felt like the length and the near falls really added to the unpredictability. And
Yeah.
genuinely, I didn't know. I didn't. The only thing I didn't want was, as impressive as Mark Davis was in this, I just didn't really want him to win purely because I'm kind of over Kenny and the Callis family. I know it's going to
Mm,
be a thread that's going to eternally run through, and I'm totally fine with that, but I've had enough of that. At the
mm,
buffet of AEW, I've had enough of the Callis family buffet
enough.
in regards to sharing on the plate of Omega. I've had
Mm.
enough of it. So that was the only thing where I was like genuinely like, oh no. Like when the near falls with Davis happened, I was like, please no. I don't want this. But I do like Matt Davis, just to clarify.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's completely fair enough, and I'm glad that you mentioned the false finishes as well, because yeah, they really popped me, especially there was a point where
The Orange Punch.
yes, that's
That
exactly what I
one.
was about to
Yeah.
say. Yeah, that was a really close false finish, and yeah, that had me going. I really thought that was it, and I mean that wasn't even really. I mean, it was towards the end, but it wasn't. You know, particularly close to the end. There was still loads of things that happened after that as well. So yeah, it wasn't like a high point or anything. It just kept on going up from there, and like yeah, like you said, the excitement just built throughout until the very end.
Yeah, and with Mike Bailey, obviously this was his second match in AEW,
Yeah.
and yeah, I still found him to be quite impressive. He had huge uh, chance. There was a few times where he wasn't quite in place in time, but understandable. Like I say, second match in AEW. I know he's wrestled TV wrestling before, but four-way chaos, overwhelming. I get it.
Mhm.
But yeah, which again we talked about the gamble and banking on someone, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Megan Bain, in my personal opinion, but yeah, I thought the ending really worked because he had that momentum, he had that great showing, but you never actually thought that he was going to win. Like you
Mm,
thought it was going to be Ricochet, right? Um, and then with the backside roll up and Ricochet on top, holding the ropes, trying to steal the victory. We had sort of this very dramatic conclusion to the match where Justin Roberts announced after consultation, I suppose, with Tony Khan in the back, that they would both be Kenny's opponents at Dynasty, which yeah was totally unexpected, but great. I think you couldn't ask for anything more. And yeah, it's frustrating, like for Ricochet, like he didn't. Why the hell has he got this? But that's the point. Like it's the frustration,
yeah.
and that's his whole reason for being there. Is he is the heel, and as
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not. I mean, I am mad at it, but like in a way that like it was intended to make me mad. So yeah,
Yeah, like in a kayfabe sort of way.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree with you. I think it was a bit of a weird ending, but in the sense that you don't see that. It was just weird and unusual and unique. And I liked the anticipation of like everyone was confused and everyone was anticipating what Justin Roberts was going to announce on the microphone. And he said, he sort of said, facing Kenny Omega is going to be Speedball Mike Bailey. And then, so he started celebrating and everyone started cheering. And then he went, and Ricochet, and like the camera angle of like Speedball's like reaction and like turning around to look at Ricochet was so great. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Like you said, it was dramatic. It was, yeah, it was just a bit different. I can understand why people would complain about it being like not a clean finish and a bit of a fucky way of getting this triple threat. I mean, I definitely know what's happened. Ricochet was gonna win. Tony was like, hang on, this Speedball guy, I like you a lot. And then couldn't decide between the two and was just like, actually, why don't we just have both? They've clearly worked something out for it to have them both, which, best of both worlds. You couldn't really have, I mean, you could. You could have face versus face, just Speedball versus Kenny, just a banger. But I do think you needed that heel dynamic within it to make it more special, to make it to really bring it up. Like, I'm not saying that Speedball versus Kenny Omega wouldn't be a great match, because yeah, it would. But I think Ricochet is needed in it.
And I think it eases the pressure off of Bailey going into this match against Omega on pay-per-view. I think it just eases him in there and to the audience. And again, it doesn't feel as forceful. It's almost like, yeah, Tony Khan is booking it and he wants us to love Mike Bailey. It's his new toy. It's his new action figure. He's like, look at this. But he's doing it in an intelligent way of which we feel like we're the reason that he's being booked in that place, because it's like, oh, we're cheering Speedball Mike Bailey, and then we got him over, and now Ricochet's in. Like, we feel like we're in control, but we're not. We're being worked by Tony, and it's, yeah, I agree the ending was fucky, but I just feel like this really is like a best case scenario, and at the end of the day, you're gonna get an absolute banger on pay-per-view. So like, what is there to complain about? And yeah, I'm super happy with it. I was happy with the match. I was happy with the outcome, and I'm looking forward to the match that this is leading us towards. And again, I don't know, because like, I do feel like Kenny is going to have a lengthy international title reign, because already what he's doing is super exciting, and it's been pushed to the forefront, and we're getting new talent going for it, but also existing talent haven't had much to do, through the tournament and stuff. But at the same time, I just, I'm like, what if Ricochet takes it? Because it's a bit murky now with it being a freeway. I don't know. I'm a happy camper.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point, because he could easily get the pin over Bailey, and then Kenny's not been pinned, so he doesn't lose anything for it. And then he's had this like reign, and then he can go on like what you were talking about before Revolution. Like, I don't want to see him with this mid-card title. I want him to go for the main title. Well, then he can move on to that straight away. So yes, it's less clear now. Certainly less clear.
Yeah. So moving on, we had the Hurt Syndicate vignette voiced over by MVP. And I think the most important part about this is this statement: if anyone wants to step up and take the titles. So in him sort of reiterating this, I guess, to my knowledge, it's that we're going to get a new program with the Hurt Syndicate with new challenges. I don't know who those challenges will be, but I imagine that's on the cards. Probably before Dynasty.
Yeah, well, yeah, we've got to have those titles defended at Dynasty as far as I'm concerned, so yeah. Yeah,
so then we got the anticipated Mercedes Moné versus Billy Starks that had been set up the previous week. I liked how during Billy's entrance they played a video package, which was just a nice touch, because, not everyone watches Ring of Honor, and I mean, even if you don't, you'd have heard of her online, but maybe not everyone had heard of her online. And even Taz during the fall where he was like, "Oh, if you haven't seen this Orange Cassidy guy," and yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
good
good to
point.
just every episode just sprinkle in just like every episode. Imagine someone new is flicking through channels. Well, no one watches through channels at all, but someone's just decided to click on it on the streaming service and like, oh, what's this? And they decide to watch it. Um, and just having like a little information point every episode, just a few, I think is good and should be positively praised.
Well, yeah,
Praised
exactly.
positively.
You can't. It's like it's a hard balance to strike because you don't want to treat the audience like they're dumb, but you can't assume that they know everything. And you obviously want to nurture those new viewers if there is any. So you don't want to throw people in the deep end and assume that they know everything. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so this match was really simple, but really effective, and it just did the textbook of what you would expect of, Monet. She is playing the part of the frustrated veteran. She's dominating out of the gate. We had the nice showing of offense on Billy Starks' part, but she really had to dig deep as the match went on, because as the match went on, Mercedes got more frustrated. And I really liked how her offense was. It felt even more aggressive than usual. Just little things like
Yeah.
the knees to the sternum, pulling the arms back. It was very vicious. And as I said, Billy having to dig deep to me had quite a bit of time, and it wasn't meant to be like this super force of Billy Starks versus Mercedes Monet. It was textbook of this young girl who was a fan what many years ago. It's taken a step up to the brand above Ring of Honor, uh, and they're going to have a match, and we're going to see how she's going to fare. It wasn't an exhibition match. It wasn't move after move. It was told in that way, and it was very effective. And it was effective. It was kind of like an introductory match to Billy Starks, to the AEW audience who were just secular in Dynamite and maybe Collision, like the casuals. So yeah, and she picked up the win, Mercedes, with the statement maker, which she kept in locked after the bell, which was a bit nasty. And yeah, it just did what it needed to do. It did what it said on the tin. It did the job. It was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, 100%. Um, I felt like it was very physical. Like they weren't holding back. A lot of the moves were like sort of head, neck, back focused.
Yeah.
Billy Starks, for example, like had Mercedes sort of up in like a suplex position, dropped her on her knee, on her head, on the top of her head, and that looked really brutal. And and I don't know, I can't remember what you call the move, but basically, yeah, Billy Starks dropped Mercedes on her head. Well, that's what it looked like anyway. I don't think it was botched or anything. I don't think she actually hurt her, but like that's what it looked like. It was brutal, like sort of like a driver, and she landed right on the top of her head. It was so brutal. At the same time, though, it was so technically sound. Like on the mat, it was very smooth. Um, and after that move I just talked about, where she got dropped on her head, like she was, it, again, I got worked by an earfall. I thought Billy was about to win, but Mercedes just like so smoothly, without it being a big deal, had her foot on the ropes, and there was something about that was very like it caught everyone off guard. And it was like the referee was literally about to count three, and no one had even noticed that the foot was on the ropes when he stopped. Yeah, it just worked everyone, and I just felt like you could tell they wanted to go for broke in this, and Mercedes wanted to give Billy her chance to have her moment. Like this might be one of her only matches on Dynamite, or maybe she'll have lots more in the future, but this is it for now, or this is her chance to show why she should have more and she should be on Dynamite. And you could really tell that they both worked really hard to make the most of this, and I thought it really came across. And like Billy Starks is not just like younger than us, she's like way younger than us, which is crazy. And I felt like this match sort of felt like Sasha Banks versus Bayley, sort of them, not just like in terms of story, but like, just match structure and things. I think it was NXT like Takeover Brooklyn or something. I can't remember. They had lots of matches, but I'm thinking of one in particular in NXT. And based on Billy Starks' age, I'm sure she probably watched that and was really influenced by that. So I think it's very touching that she got to have this match with Mercedes. And yeah, she really did prove that yeah, it was excellent. It was excellent. They both did brilliantly, and you know, I look forward to seeing more from Billy Starks in the future. But to me, it also proved why Mercedes is such a great wrestler because she made Billy Starks look amazing without ever herself looking weak.
Yeah, and the passion is something that I really picked up on too, that these
Yeah,
women are both really passionate and putting effort in, but in different ways. Like
yeah,
you said, Mercedes was putting in the way of, I really care about the division, and for the division to be good, it's not just about me looking strong, it's about my opponent looking strong, because obviously if you can overcome a strong opponent, then you're going to look better. So you could tell that she was trying to lift Billy up, but Billy was coming from the point of like trying to lift up underneath and be like, oh, this is my moment, this is my time, I need to really, like, while the spotlight's on me, I really need to make the most of it. And that really came across for me with her selling. She was
yes,
selling everything.
yes, yeah, so
Everything.
true.
And they both just put in 110%. And for, even though for us fans it's been a highly anticipated dream match, one would say, it is at the end of the day a match that was booked a week ago, that has had very little build, that was a TV match, and for what they delivered, it was very, very good.
Yes, exactly. So like, who knows what they could do if they were given time to let it brew a bit longer. Like have a bit of a build, have it on a pay-per-view where the stakes are even higher.
Yeah. And it's really nice having people like Billy Starks and even Nick Wayne and, Hook to like all these people that are younger and are developing in front of us. It's really, I know, it's just wholesome, isn't it? It's just nice. It's
Yeah,
just nice and wholesome.
definitely. Doesn't it make you feel a little bit shit about yourself though? It's like, what was I doing back then? Where could I be in my wrestling career if I'd started wrestling it? I think they said she fucking went to training it when she was 11 years old or something. It's like, fucking hell.
Oh my God. Imagine if we started this podcast when we were 11 years old. Imagine where we could be now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, probably. I mean, I dread to even think.
You dread.
Yeah.
So we had the Outrunners. They were doing some more basketball crossover. I'm sure this is really important to a very, well, maybe not niche, I don't know, but to a certain subsection of the
Yeah.
American audience, this probably matters a lot.
But
But I just could not. I keep laughing even now reading it. The only way we are going to lose is if we don't win.
yeah,
That
that
is
was
fucking brilliant, and that just had me rolling.
so
That was
inspirational,
great.
my dude. Oh, man. Yeah, the Omaha Mavericks, I believe was the team. I don't really understand what was going on. But there's a basketball thing going on. I think it's this
A
Sunday.
basketball thing.
Slam Dunk Sunday. So they're doing
Well,
an episode of
they've had to.
Collision.
They've had to cut the collision in half. That's all that's happening. Is it's had to be
Oh,
two sections of 1 hour, so
oh
then they can fit the
shit.
basketball in, so they don't lose the viewership. So they're selling it as like, oh,
Oh,
it's
a big special
basketball
event.
Saturday, lads.
We love basketball, guys. I didn't realize it was like a wrap around, like split in half. I thought it was like on after or before or something, but that's awkward and weird. But sure, why not?
Why not, eh? Then we had MJF backstage. He had the business card in shot, talking about the title scene and how he stands up against him. It was funny. He was like, I've beat this guy this way. I've beat this guy this way. Swerve, I've beat him in life. Says maybe he does need a click like Moxley because he is aiming for the title, but also he does have trust issues. So he's got these two things that he's weighing up, but he will answer next week. So, it's a little tease this, and I'm highly anticipating that segment because, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's going to join? Or do you think he's going to not?
I don't think he is, to be honest. I feel like after all of this, he's just going to turn around and be like, psych, bitches, you really thought and
Yeah, I
that'll
agree.
be it. I just feel like that's the sort of thing he would do. I think it is interesting to consider like that he might, but I just don't see it.
I think it'd be more interesting if he did.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's such an MJF thing, and it's like bait and draw it out for weeks on end, and then just be like,
Oh yeah,
psych.
and you know that promo's going to be long-winded. But I love him. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I mean, he definitely needs something to like MVP said. He's lost his edge, so he definitely needs something
Need something to, yeah.
that's gonna. Whether it's like I don't know. I don't know because I can't really see him turning around and beating down MVP and sort of unleashing on him. You know, I
Yeah,
can't
because
really
he,
see that
well,
because then
yeah,
that'd lead off to a feud with the Hurt Syndicate, and I just don't see where that leads to.
yeah, because
So
he's not daft, is he? He knows that three men are gonna destroy him. Like, if he didn't have any friends, and they're obviously, a faction, he doesn't stand his chance. He's not daft in that way.
we will see and report back to you on this next week then. So now we have got the street fight, the very anticipated, or in my case, not so anticipated, street fight because I thought I had it all sussed out. Was I wrong? So this really did start before we get to the bit that everyone wants to talk about. This really did start out strong from the gate. We had Cope following Mox outside the venue for his entrance. And yeah, it was quite vicious and engaging and hardcore-esque from the start, being thrown about in the production truck that looked pretty good, both dragging each other to the ring, the mic to Moxley's head, throwing the bin at him, Mox working over the neck injury, the kendo stick pushing that against his throat was pretty sickening. The paradigm shift on the reinforced desk, which popped me that they had to now disclose that it is a reinforced uh, desk. And then, we get the bit that, the talking point, the point that was even reported on by TMZ, it went that viral. Spike came out, which, when Spike came out, I'm not going to lie, I sighed. I maybe rolled my eyes. I was like, for fuck's
I
sake.
mean, yeah, we've talked about this many, many weeks in a row, I feel. The use of weapons in wrestling and him you like swinging Spike around but never actually using it.
We ate our
Careful.
words, didn't we?
Yeah, careful what we wish for.
Because Spike was thrown into Moxley's midsection, the actual nail part of it, which would have been sickening enough, and on his back, which again,
Not
this was
nice.
already very, very violent. But the cherry on the cake, the icing on the cake, the sprinkles, if you will, was the suplex. At which point it was stuck into his back, and yeah, it was awful. The close up because he did sell it for a while. I think he
Oh,
was like pleasantly surprised that it had stuck in his back. Was the way I read it. 'Cause he was like really trying to like have the camera get it before it kind of fell out naturally, but it didn't. And Yuta comes in with the Boo Psycho knee,
oh.
and then before Cut puts him through the table, my point being that Yuta, he trots on over to try and pull this out. He's there for a good 5 seconds and
He's
he just
yanking
can't.
on
And the
it.
close up of the
Oh.
flesh is literally coming out. And as well, I'd watched Hellraiser the previous night, so with like the hook under the skin, that was like on my mind. So I was like, it was definitely like in the top worst things in mainstream wrestling for a very long time.
Just top worst things. Full stop. Yeah, I mean it was horrific. And it's just like cemented to me that the full 180 I've done on deathmatch wrestling is like, I know that like 5 years ago I wouldn't be able to watch. I'd be like, oh, it's disgusting. But I was like disgusted, but couldn't look away. I was like, oh yes, give me some more. Let me rewind that. Let me watch all the replays. Let me watch all the clips on social media. Like it's disgusting, but it's like it's like in a sick way. You're fascinated by it, and you're like, oh, that that's disgusting, but yes.
Well, it's like the lengths, isn't it? The lengths of what they would go to. And I think as well with me and you going in with such low expectations,
Yeah.
and then to be met with that. I will say the reception online that I've seen has been pretty bad to this. Like, obviously, you have the people who just clutch the pearls anyway because it's AEW, but a lot of people being like, well, it's just stupid. Why would you do that? To these people, I think you're watching wrestling. Like, I don't understand why people would question why another guy is hurting another guy. Like, that is the objective. It is a street fight.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a blood feud going on. Like, what do you mean? Why is this happening? Why don't they just use like, I'm fine with like what is it? The little nails, not
Thumbtacks.
nails. I'm fine with the thumbtacks, but oh, when it comes to the nails, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I'm like, I just I just don't know whether this is for you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of other television out there for you to watch. If I just don't get it.
Well, I can understand why someone would be really grossed out by this and not want to see it. And
Yeah.
that's fine. That's totally fine. Whatever. Everyone's got their personal tastes. Whatever. But the clutching of the pearls really annoys me because, this two grown men. They've made this decision. I'm listening to Mox's autobiography at the moment. Highly recommend, like, one of the best wrestling autobiographies ever, and especially when he's reading it himself. He loves this shit. He wants to do this shit. He wants to get hurt and hurt people like that. He's incredibly passionate about it, and I think, this made it even more sickening for me because, like, you could tell by his, like you said, he was like pleasantly surprised that it stuck in his back, but he was also in a lot of fucking pain, and I mean, for a guy with that much pain tolerance, it's rare to see that. So that was quite hard to watch. And then Wheeler Yuta comes in, tries to make the situation better by pulling it out, and actually just makes it a lot worse because he's like yanking on it. Oh my god, it was awful. And then Moxley's like, just go do the. You can see him telling Yuta, go do the spot, go do the spot. But to your point about like outrage over like people hating it. I read this really great thread on X today by @Trevor Dame, right? And he sums it up really well. And instead of trying to paraphrase, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I will, read some of it. He said, "I've seen wrestlers die or crippled from repeated head/neck bumps. I've seen wrestlers hobbled for life from repeated bumps on the knees/hips. I've never seen a 50-year-old with, say, residual tax syndrome. Most of us get squeamish from sharp stuff piercing the skin. It's a visceral thing. But the truth is, a needle through the cheek, tack/glass in the back, a blade on the forehead, oh yes, nails in your back. They do less lasting wear and tear on the body than many daily spots." Which I think sums it up so well. It's like, wrestling is inherently very dangerous. And like you said, if this is disgusting to you, maybe you need to find something else to watch because... Yeah, I think that's a really good point that I've not thought of before. This is actually a lot less dangerous than a lot of the normal stuff you see in wrestling matches. And if they want to do it, why shouldn't they?
And suddenly everyone's a bloody doctor as well. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, the spinal fluid guys. Have you ever heard about the spinal fluid damage? It's just like, fuck me. It's like when, contracts are up and people become bloody lawyers. Suddenly,
Yeah, innit?
that's what it is to be a wrestling fan. You're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a freaking scientist, you're everything. But for me, it's the logic, right? Because we watch wrestling, and when we watch wrestling, we suspend our belief, right? It becomes real. So my point being, yes, it's the clutching of the pearls, and I think that was a great tweet that you read out. But it's also just the logic of why are they doing this? Like, people genuinely being confused on the internet. Why is this happening? Why the fuck do you think it's happening? Like, where is the logic?
Yeah.
Like, they're in a match fighting.
Well, here's the thing. People complained that the last match was tame and boring. They would have complained if this one didn't have a big violent, bloody spot like that. They would have said it's boring again. Or Moxley's gone soft. Or Cup is shit. People complain nonetheless. I mean, I can understand the criticism, like, oh, it's just one big spot, the rest of the match wasn't that great. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't not enjoy it, but I can agree that maybe it was a bit slow and like nothing was as notable as that big moment. But I don't think that's an incredibly valid criticism.
I think it worked though because it
Yeah,
built up to this spot. The spot happened, and then what happened afterwards, which I'll get into now, carried on the momentum with the chaos. So yeah, as say he's instructed get the fuck out. I need the ref. And Kurt puts him through the table. Claudio and Pat come out. They've regenerated. FTR come down to stop the setting up of the concerto. Kurt spears Mox, but Marina breaks the 3 count. Willow then comes out and sort of wipes her out. Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne come down and laying on Mox. It's lay on Cope, I think, and then the 3 count. Yeah. Mox comes in for the 3 count, and Cope kicks out, and he ends up using the bulldog choke to what's the word? Pass him out.
yeah.
But I can't speak today. I don't know why. I just can't
Oh,
speak properly. But you get my point.
summarised
This
it perfectly.
massive flurry of people coming in, chaos, long-term storytelling. People who've been entwined for the past month and a half, programming, and yeah, like we predicted, Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, and we didn't have that direct Christian and Edge Copeland. See, now I am losing mine. We didn't have that interaction. We had it via proxy. All that to say, Copeland can go off and now do his little Christian thing. The patriarchy sort of falling apart at the seams. They can go do that storyline. And yeah. But what is also adding to this is that we have Prince Nana watching on nonchalant, which was so funny because at that time Mox was showing his back to the camera, and then Nana's just there with his little Prince Nana coffee on the phone, not really caring, no selling it. So we've got Swerve versus Mox at Dynasty. But my point, because we'll come back to that. We'll come back to Swerve versus Moxley. But as I'm speaking about Copeland, what I was saying was, like we predicted, wrapping it off with a nice little bow, he's going to go off with Christian. But then there was more, which I found this very weird, which was FTR and Willow are in the ring with Copeland. Cope preaches his hand out to FTR bald, but Daxie Axe doesn't help him up, and Cash does. So yeah, a lot to unpack. So
like, what even? That
what
that was
even?
he did that for no reason. I don't understand that.
I guess he's like frustrated. He's like, you couldn't get it done, but it was just so out of character, so
yeah, and
unnecessary.
out of nowhere.
And to what end? My point is, to what end is this thread? Because I'm thinking, oh, Cope's going to go off with Christian and he's going to cause the downfall, and I think it's going to be really interesting because it was Kip and Nick Wayne that caused Copeland to lose a title, but I think in reverse, when he's feuding with Christian, he's going to manipulate and get into their heads and show them, because Nick Wayne's already come in and done what Christian actually is, and that he's not a good father figure, and so they're going to be part of, like, he's going to kind of destroy the patriarchy from the inside out and then take down Christian. Or I don't know. Talking about wrestling today, there's so much to think about, but I don't know if I'm just being like stupid, but all this is just frying my brain.
Well, no,
so many threads, man.
You're not stupid. It's like, it's complex. I think that's on purpose, isn't it? To make you intrigued and want to find out. I'd better tune in next week, find out what's going to happen, obviously. But like, yeah, Dax refusing to help him up was weird. It was just weird. I don't know how else to describe it, and I don't know where they're going with it, because like you said, it would have been nice just to go on the simple but better route of, Edge versus Christian. Everyone wants to see it. But this is getting mixed in, and I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm not like excited though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to know what they do with it, but it's not blowing my mind. I'm not like, wow, I am so interested.
I think FTR definitely needs something to
Some
kind of freshen
motivation.
up the act because it's a bit stale. But I would have thought it's difficult though because when you think of freshen up an act, you think of a face or a heel turn. Obviously, a heel turn with these two, but then the Hurt Syndicate are the tag team champions,
Yeah.
and what's the appeal of them going against a heel FTR? Like, I don't really think that there is much. But then also the way they were selling it was, I don't think it's meant to be like a Dax Cope beef thing. I think it's going to more be like a dissension between Dax and Cash. But where is the appeal of seeing those two go one-on-one other than perhaps their own self-indulgence? Because obviously they're all about their team. They love their team. Like, they are so all about each other. And that's the only way I can see it is maybe, especially FTR Ball, Dax coming and being like, wouldn't it be great if like we like had a match against each other? But it's like, is that a draw, brother?
Yeah.
It's just like, to what end? To what end is this?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, you're probably right. And that just strikes me as something that Tony Khan would be like, oh, yeah, of course you can, guys. Go ahead. You can have whatever you
Real.
want. But yeah, it just sort of dragged your attention away from the rest of the match.
Yeah, totally. And there was so much drama and so much going on.
Yeah.
The run-in was enough. And yeah. And then circling back to Swerve versus Moxley at Dynasty, I'm very confused because where do we go from here? Because the Death Riders
Yeah.
are back to full strength, and the
Yeah.
whole Copeland feud feels as it was it was written, or however the fuck that setting goes, of that it was filler. And now we've just circled right back to square one because Utah's still loyal to Mox. Mox is at full strength with his little band of hooligans again. Everyone's back on the scene. And I'm thinking, with Swerve, right, and they showed a video package later of him winning the title at Dynasty, and I get it would fit in the storyline of being full circle, but also they've made such a big point about like the numbers game, and Swerve does not have the numbers behind him. So my whole point is I enjoyed this, but I'm just very confused. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm not saying I don't trust AW, because I think they will do right. They will do right, especially by this world title. There's too many stakes. I think they will do right by it, but it's just very confusing to think, what? And maybe that's because they don't know what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, could be.
That's kind of how it reads.
Yeah, I agree with you. They've got some serious storytelling to do between now and Dynasty for this match to have hype and for you to believe, plausibly that Swerve could win. Because right now I don't feel that at all. I don't get the vibe that he could be the one to end the Death Riders. So yeah, we've got some legwork to do to get to a point where this makes sense and this feels like a natural progression of the story rather than what you said, which it feels at the moment, just going back to square one.
The only thing I can think of to conclude the Death Rider story right now is it is very pushed upon us, the top people who are vying for the AEW title. You've got Hangman, Swerve, MJF, and I feel like one or two other people, right, who've said their interest. Why are they not coming to me? Right, but you've got this Osprey, whatever. You've got this swirl of people, right?
Yeah.
The numbers game has been stressed as being important. All these people want the title. The only way I can kind of see it working is if this new crop of blood of people. I can't get the words out, but I know what I'm trying to say. So just bear with.
I'm bearing with.
This group of people who have disdain for each other but a mutual goal, pairing up together to take down the Death Riders. But as soon as they do, there's dissension and mania because they all want the title. That is the only way that I can see it happening. I can't see one man stepping up and taking it. Because I just don't think that's satisfying. And it maybe would have been if they hadn't brought the fucking Death Riders back. But the fact that they brought them back in this match, it's like, I need all hands on deck.
I know.
I need everyone
Yeah.
clocked in.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you, but I also feel like we kind of did that ages ago when we had like, do you remember Darby was involved and there was that
Yeah, and
camera shot of
Cassidy and
yeah,
Hook and
yes, exactly. And that's felt like that was starting then, but then
but then Darby fucked off.
maybe it was going to happen, and then Darby decided to go climb a mountain, and Tony was like, right, we just need some filler before he gets back off his mountain, and we're going to end up back there. Which, it's just a shame because, you want to strike the iron while it's hot. And it's sad. It's a shame for everyone involved that this feud with Cope has felt the way it has just because of the timing of things.
The longer they've left it, the bigger the mountain of the Death Riders becomes and the
Yeah.
more expectation goes into it. It's like anything, long-term storytelling. It's fucking brilliant. It's magical. It's beautiful. But it is the best when it is simple, i.e. blood feud between Hangman and Swerve. That's when it works best. When things become complicated and fan theories come in, and we all love fantasy booking, but it's like the devil, It's like the devil storyline of there's just too many high expectations. They don't know what they're doing. And like I say now, it's just snowballing and snowballing. And I just think that the Death Riders deserves more because it's like, yeah, we can put it out of its misery and shoot it. Like, we can do that, right? At Dynasty, and Swerve can win, and then Hangman can win the Owen Hart Cup, and they square off, right? We can do that, and then that'll lead to a really exciting, great program. And I think 90% of people want that and would be happy with that. But for me, I'm like, if you've gone to all this effort to craft this storyline, at least make it the ending worthwhile, because the start was great, the middle was meandering. Let's at least make the ending worthwhile because there's been a lot of effort and we want those cathartic moments of Wheeler Yuta either turning face and like having his moment against Mox. We want these big moments. We want the payoff essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Wheeler Yuta is a whole other thing because
It's a whole other thing.
how many times has he seemed like he was gonna, crack? It seemed like Cope had maybe got through to him, but then we just end up back at the start, and it's like, yeah, I get long term building it up as much as possible, but I love Wheeler Yuta probably more than the average person, but even I'm just
more than
like,
is healthy.
yeah, and even I'm like, oh mate, just make your mind up.
Yeah, there's long-term storytelling and there's dragging it out. And this is the difficult thing in it because part of me is like, you've not struck while the iron's hot. So you really like, swerve and it would make sense and it'd be cyclical and yada yada. And maybe you should because maybe this is the best you're going to get. Like maybe this is the best you're going to salvage it. But then the other part of me is like, oh, but like, I want it to be more satisfying, And I just, I don't know. I don't know which. I want everything. I want it to be perfect. I want the perfect little ending. I want a balance between the two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, and we deserve to get what we want. So simple as that, really.
Right, I feel like I went on a long time about that. So let's go on to the riveting Bandido interview about the humiliation that was endured at Revolution, the pre-show. Basically this was like the section of the show where this and then after the Osprey AR Fox match of setting up for Collision, Johnny TV comes out popping off. He says that if him and Bandido go one-on-one instead of Bandido and Jericho, they'll draw bigger ratings than the Super Bowl, and he said that with a straight face.
Yeah, well, Johnny TV was serving Chris Jericho vibes in this. I thought he was Chris Jericho. Just like he sounded like him, he sort of looked like him. The vibes are all the same. That's my only thought, really.
So can't miss that. Can't miss Collision this Saturday, guys. Because if you know, if the NBA or whatever this is, fans weren't going to tune into Collision, well, they will now. 'Cause fuck me, how can they miss Bandido versus Johnny TV?
Oh my God. What a draw.
That's the draw. Then we had Osprey versus AR Fox. This was like what you'd expect on paper. It was a match out of nowhere, but they're both uh,
Yeah,
highly compatible in ring, high flying individuals.
I was
So
gonna
it was
ask,
good.
was there some sort of build to this that I'd missed?
No, he just said
Um,
I want to fight someone, and then AR Fox was like, "I'll fight you."
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Like I wrote down in my notes, AR Fox versus Osprey for reasons. Turns out there is no reason. But I mean, yeah, it was just really fun. It was entertaining TV match, really.
Yeah,
Just exactly the type of thing that you want to have on your weekly flagship show, I think.
and after the chaos of like that
Oh
street fight,
my
you know, it
God,
was
yeah.
good to just maybe have something to just turn your brain off and be like, "Ooh, pretty
Flippy.
flips and
Yeah,
flippy."
exactly.
Yeah, they had a great little standoff to start with. Impressive physical match. Osprey selling of the hip, and commentary were really putting over that this injury, you know, is going to play a massive part in the Owen Hart tournament. So, you know, pay note to that. And Osprey picked up the win with the hidden blade. So yeah, pretty nondescript, but as you say, just a light, a little palate cleanser, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And like God knows we needed it. I really liked the finish. Because AR Fox went for a 450 and Osprey moved out the way, sort of like moved backwards, and then the camera was, like facing them, and then he just hit him from behind out of nowhere with the hidden blade. It was a really, really cool ending.
Yeah. Then we had this Swerve video package, like I said, talking about when he won the title last year, and then him being attacked by Mox on Collision. Renee was with Hangman, and she asked about Mox versus Swerve, and Hangman says he's a man of his word. He won't let Swerve get to the title, but also he needs to focus on himself, and he's planning on winning the Owen Hart Cup to challenge whoever the champion is. So yeah, we
Oh
all
my.
remember his little tirade in the Owen Hart tournament
Yeah, I
last
mean,
year.
yeah, because there's so many directions it could go now with this tournament. Like, whether it's Mox or Swerve who ends up being champ, and then who are they going to face like that? There's many different directions that could go in, and all of them are pretty exciting.
Yeah. Aminata versus Julia Hart rematch on Collision. There's a few more things announced for Collision. Renee was with Four Belts Monet. This was really interesting. She said Billy had a lot of heart, but it takes more than that. And if she trained her, you know, that wouldn't have happened. And who trained her? So before it's like maybe we were being a bit delulu with Athena, but this week it's like we're not being
Love it.
delulu. Like this,
Yeah,
it was overt, like you say, like oh shit,
that's
it's
exciting.
happening. It's all happening.
Still
Very
can't believe
exciting.
it's happening.
Ah. Then we had the main event, which Megan Bain with Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander, and we had Tony Storm on commentary, who was absolutely the highlight of
Oh,
this. I mean, the match
100%.
itself was good in terms of in-ring work, but Tony Storm just totally stole
I
the
mean,
show, Mr.
like,
Siobhan.
I like everything she does. She stole the show, and she makes everything better. Um, I just feel like it's worth mentioning the fact that this was the main event, and obviously, Tony listened to our Revolution review
Yeah.
and realized that we were right, and he was like, you know what, yeah, Moxley needs to go in the middle, and the women need to main event. Thanks for listening, Tony.
Tony says Stat has earned her respect, unlike Mega Sis, I think she's calling her.
Yeah.
She's calling herself the Storm Modo Dragon. This match was just a continuation of Stat and Burns' match that they had previously. They were both very physical and evenly matched. No one was really um, getting a clear advantage, I would say. Penelope, she was getting her little snipes in, but she was thrown out. Bin launches Stat into Storm, and then dominates, doing the F5 to the outside of the ring on the mat, and yeah, she picked up the win. Meh. Tony comes in ring, and yeah, comes to blows with the pull apart brawl with security. And Tony says they'll have a date at Dynasty. And yeah, her thighs will shake, her body will quake, and she'll leave with the strap on. And that was Tony did make it very entertaining, and she did sort of make it. But at this point, I feel like Tony could feud with like a stick on the ground, and it would be I'd pay to watch her fight anything and anyone. But yeah, I can't lie. Like I've been vocal about this. Megan Bayne does absolutely nothing for me. And then Tony on commentary, even though I assume it's kayfabe and it wasn't a shoot, but she was very much like, oh, she doesn't speak. What is she the goddess of? Is she non-verbal? What's and like really like exposing all the things that kind of make her unappealing, or like not to the appeal of being in the main event scene. And then she's like, I respect Chris Statlander. So I'm like, why should I care when it seems like even Tony Storm doesn't want to fight her? Like, she sounded more excited to fight Chris Statlander.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just the fact she has no character. There's nothing really distinctive about her. Not even, like her gear or... I know what people say. She is clearly very strong. You can see that demonstrated in the ring. But she's not like... She's not got a physique that makes her particularly stand out. She's not unique in like to look at, really. You know what I mean? Like some wrestlers, very visually striking. She's not
It's
really
giving 2K.
Yeah, isn't it? Just nothing standing out. Just very generic.
When you're against Tony Storm as well, who's
yeah.
so much character. But I think this feud is just going to be Megan Bayne's going to lose to Tony Storm, and then just like Camille, to the back of the line you go.
Yeah,
no one is going to benefit from this. No one is going to benefit from this. I can promise you now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in a sense, I'm sort of I'm warming up to Megan a little bit because I like I've enjoyed her matches that I've seen. So she faced Thunder Rosa on Collision. I just caught the highlights on YouTube, and it was a good match. This was a good match. Nothing wrong with it. Pretty solid, bell to bell. But again, you can't get invested in someone unless you've got a reason to get behind her character. But like, she's winning constantly. She's beating people up constantly. She doesn't say anything. You don't know what her story is, what the character is, so it's hard. I mean, I know that in this situation, I don't even... It's hard to tell if she's meant to be a face or a heel. I mean, yes, she's meant to be a heel because she's been beating people up, but what's the motive?
There's no longevity to it, though. That's the thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, there's no, like, as I say, what's she going to do? Just beat everyone up forever? Like, well, obviously she's not winning the title. Yeah. And then if her only gimmick, right, is dominating and beating people up, and she pissing loses, where the fuck do you go then? Yeah, exactly. It's stupid. It's bloody stupid.
It's stupid.
And I love Chris Statlander, and I just, I don't like it. I don't like being told what to do. Don't lead me. Lead me when I'm in the mood to be led, whatever that thing is. Like,
lead a horse.
Whatever you're doing. Whatever you're doing, Mike Bailey. Do that. Like, make me think I'm in charge. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But, like, don't Vince McMahon me. Don't 2010s Vince McMahon me. Don't Super Cena me. Because I've got trauma. These are the eyes of a traumatized woman. Okay? Don't do that shit.
What do you think about John Cena turning heel?
I don't care. I think it's stupid. I think it's absolutely stupid. I feel like, and I know I'm probably going to get heat on this, but I'm not feeling very merciful. And that's also because before this, I finished a book that I absolutely fucking hated, and I wrote a not very nice review on Goodreads.
Oh my God, I can't wait to read that.
and that put me in a certain unmerciful type of mood to bullshit. I don't get it. I don't get if like someone for the whole career is defined as one thing just for shock value, and people, it's so cool, bro, it's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I do not. I think it is just I think a Cena heel turn would have been really cool in the 2010s when people were clamoring for it, but now. And it's just, yeah, I don't care. Like, oh, he said a few. He said a cool sentence. Like, to me,
Yeah.
WWE right now, it's in its Netflix era, and it's a product of what people want right now. WWE is just promos. It's just promos with a zinger, and I'm gonna post it on Twitter. I'm gonna post it on Instagram. Look at this cool sentence someone said. It's like, fuck off, man. Actually, just fuck off. Like, I just can't be asked.
I'm sorry for mentioning John Cena's heel turn, dude. No,
It's just, you know what? It's things building up. Okay, it was that book. It was that bloody book, and then it was Megan Bayne. Bane of my life, and then it was John Cena, and then it's people talking about Spike being like, oh, nails in wrestling, clutching the pearls.
God
I'm sorry, it's
forbid.
just too much. It's too much.
I
I'm
mean-
overstimulated.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't planning on talking about John Cena being a heel in this, but you said that he, him being shoved down your throat caused you trauma. And him on Raw this week was like, you all booed me, and I've been a victim of a toxic relationship. And yeah, I watched the segment, right? And, oh no. You're frozen. There we go. And like like you said, the shock value of it was, yes, it certainly was shocking. I didn't expect it, but like listening to his promo on Raw, I did not believe for a second that this is a guy who means anything he says. This is an actor. He's acting, which is fine. That's what all wrestlers are. But it doesn't. There's something very disingenuous about it, where it's like you can clearly tell this is a guy who's on his retirement year, and he just wanted to do it because it's something he's not done before, and he thought this will be the last thing people expect, and I just want to do it. I just didn't believe anything he said. So for me, I can't get invested in that. It's like what you said. It's just it's of its time, like it's of the Netflix era. It's making memes on Twitter and going viral and stuff. It's not about it actually being like quality storytelling. And people can argue all they want that it is. That's all right. You're entitled to your opinion, but I just feel like it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's like, you go over there with your John Cena action figure. I'll be over here, right? But don't come over and start popping off about Spike. Okay, because I'm feeling quite protective and maternal over Spike now. If only I'm allowed to roast Spike.
That's the thing.
Not you. You don't even know Spike like that.
Well, yeah,
You only met Spike today or yesterday. I've been spending a few months with Mr. Spike. I'm talking absolute shite.
You're gonna kill me. I'm trying to take a sip of my water because I was already coughing, and now you just nearly made me choke to death.
Right, shall we go to the rating and then talk about the news?
Yeah, I mean the news follows on really nicely from this, but let's do the rating first. Gosh, I don't even know. We've veered so far off track. I don't even know. Well, I mean, on the whole, this was really good.
Yeah,
I'm falling somewhere around an 8.
me too. But then I didn't like the ending, so I'm thinking 7.5. I really don't like it.
I thought you might say that. Yeah, I can live with 7.5. I think that's fair. It wasn't like perfect top to bottom. But
it was, as I said, pleasant. That's how I describe
exactly.
it. It was pleasant.
Yeah, I think that's
Easy watching.
the optimal word to describe it. Pleasant. Which you might not tell based on like how hot we've been getting towards the end of this review. But trust us, we enjoyed it. It was pleasant.
Can't you tell by our clenched teeth and our locked jaw how much we enjoyed it?
So that we're settling then on the 7.5.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair evaluation. And we're still on a pretty strong run of Dynamite like since, just before Revolution and after it. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, kind of what we were talking about. We do normally sometimes do like a news section at the end if there's like, a big bit of news in the wrestling world that we want to discuss that's maybe not related to Dynamite, then we'll do it at the end. So that's where we're at now. Um, yeah, sort of related. We were talking about John Cena. We were talking about WWE. We were talking about WWE fans. If you have seen, maybe if you're in the UK, you might have heard WWE has just announced that it's going on like a live tour, the
for
road to
Clash.
Clash, which is
Yeah.
in Berlin. So they are
Or is it in
going
Paris?
possibly Paris.
I thought it was Paris.
Clash in somewhere. Uh, oh yeah, I think you're right. I think Berlin was this year, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Clash in Paris, which is difficult to say. But yes, they are having like a road to Clash, and that is coming to Ireland, the UK, and France, and that is over the same weekend as Forbidden Door. So that's over the August bank holiday. So Clash in Paris is on the 31st of August, and yeah, they're gonna, and then Forbidden Door is the week before, but they're gonna be in the UK that weekend of Forbidden Door, which is the 24th of August. It's on the Sunday. On the Saturday, I believe they're going to be in Liverpool, I think, and then on Monday, which is the night after Forbidden Door, they're doing a Raw taping in Birmingham, and then on the Tuesday they're going to be in Manchester, and they're also doing a SmackDown taping as well. Which is very interesting because, Forbidden Door hasn't even had its arena confirmed yet.
Yeah, just the
So,
dates.
just the date, yeah. So this is very interesting because it seems to be quite clear on the surface that WWE have tried to take advantage of this and jump the gun and get there before AEW does. I mean, I think pre-sale tickets are even on sale now. So, I mean, how's that going to impact Forbidden Door?
Well, I think it's aggressive.
Yeah.
It's petty, but, and some of you aren't going to like this, it's because AEW is a threat. And that's why they're doing it. And that's the positive of it.
That's
That's the reason why they're doing it. Because, they want to get into that market before AEW do. The thing is, I don't think it's that much of like a threat because I think, as we kind of had a little chat about this when it came out and you sent me the link, I'd talk about it, and you only have to go back to All In 1 to All In 2. The ticket get dramatically dropped by like a good, what, was it 40,000? No, maybe
it's quite
30, 30, 40. But the feel of being All In 2, both of us preferred the second All In for multiple reasons. But part of it being that the atmosphere was more pleasant. It felt like the hardcores were there. It wasn't just, the casuals, people just going because it's a wrestling event and, Punk was there. It was just AEW fans. And I think now we've kind of gotten to the point where AEW has its fans, WWE has its fans, and people are quite secular in that.
Yeah.
Also, because it's a tour with multiple dates, I think if people want to go see the WWE live tour and Forbidden Door, they will do that. But also, like, I was saying to you, what am I going to choose, guys? Like, Naito, possibly Tanahashi, LIJ, like, Okada, Omega, or Jey Uso, and Dirty Dom. Like, bro. Like,
No, but to
it's
us,
laughable.
To us and probably people who listen to this podcast, it's a no-brainer. But to a lot of people, it's the opposite way around no-brainer, It's, I don't want to, because it's like, I don't want to patronize people or have this sense of superiority. But like
they bring
what
it
I
out
said,
here. They bring it out here. The thing
yeah.
is, right, I would happily sit on my little island. And the thing is, I'm not be the better person. I'm not the better person. I can't regulate my emotions. And the thing is, like, not to be like a kid like on a playground, but they started it. They started. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
finish it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
That's
it's
sad.
rare that
That's
you
from
would.
the soul. That.
Yeah, it's so hard because Twitter is such a hellscape of. It's often, and I don't know why I'm still on it, to be honest. Mainly so I can try and get bookings for commentary gigs, but people, WWE fans will shit on AEW at every single chance they have. Like, I mean, diehard WWE fans, ride or die, and it's like, Triple H isn't going to shag you, hun. You don't need to defend this billionaire corporation until you're blue
Oh
in the
no,
face. You
my
really don't.
WWE. Yeah, like they need you to fucking white knight on Twitter. This
It's
massive, and
crazy
you're
to
like,
me.
oh my god, literally, it's just
It's
like
like,
the cult is honestly it's giving mental illness. Like it's just it's
it's
not normal. It's not normal to come onto our podcast and comment things as soon as we mention WWE like that. That is a mental illness.
you.
That's not normal. The thing is with us, yeah, we're talking about WWE, right? But we're not going like the things
We
that
we
people
don't
rant
like
about
it,
in
so we don't
AEW.
watch it.
Yeah, the things people rant about in AEW are things that they'd only know about if they watched the product. We're talking about John Cena's heel turn, which is fucking viral, right? It's
Mm.
totally different. It's totally different. And
And
yeah, it's just like we're
yeah,
talking about on our podcast, but we would never go out of our way to like intrude on the Fed space. Like I would never
yeah.
in a
It's
million
like,
years
yeah.
do that.
It's like I will watch like a WWE event if it's intriguing to me. Like I'm not tribalistic in that sense. I'm not opposed to watching it sometimes, and I can admit when I enjoy it. We've talked about NXT on the podcast. We did a whole episode about it. We cover it when it's in the news, etc. But when we don't go out of our way to watch Raw week on week and then complain about it, because why would you do that? It's such a waste of energy. And I just I don't know why people feel the need to, yeah, like I said, ride or die for this billionaire corporation. Especially, I think when you think about the impact this is going to have on the indies as well, in the UK, because a lot of them will have, you hear the news that AEW is running in London that weekend, that bank holiday weekend. So there's a lot of independent promotions in London and the surrounding areas who have planned their biggest show of the year, or shows, sometimes they do a couple, around that weekend so that wrestling fans who are flocking to London can go to them. Whereas now that's no doubt going to impact on that, because now, because they probably won't have bought the tickets already because it's too far in advance for indie promotions to have probably put the tickets on sale. Now they might think, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to this WWE house show instead. Fucking expensive as fuck. So now you're cutting out those indie shows that you might have gone to. You're prioritising different things. So there's that angle to think about as well. So I think what you said is it's a calculated move by WWE. It's not a happy accident. And people can say all they want. Well, it's a business and they've got to do business. It's like they don't though. Like I said, this is a $1 billion company. They don't need to do this.
But
They
it's
could
good
just,
though in a way because they do see them as like a threat.
well, yeah.
It's kind of like when NXT used to have the crossover with Dynamite and they used to put on like The Rock and fucking The
Yeah.
Undertaker. I mean, we don't talk about what happened to the Reigns. Like we don't talk about that. But it's yeah, and I know it's like hypocritical. Like, oh well, why do you need to defend Tony Khan's billionaire company and da da da? But I do,
Yeah,
I do
100%
think
that's
that's
valid.
unfair because I think being an AEW fan, right, and 80% is for WWE, and there's a lot of like aggressive people who, retort things online and untrue things, and even like the fact that there's like so many bots just on like AEW, like Instagram and TikTok and stuff,
Yeah,
like
right. So
that people
weird.
have like paid for and created. It's just absolutely insane. Like, we are the underdog, but this is the thing, right? WWE fans think that they're the underdog. Like, they have the mentality of like, my WWE, my small WWE, and it's like, no, like, babe, we're the underdogs. And I don't know, like, I don't think it's like a bad thing to like defend it. I mean, we don't like not what's the word? We don't blindly defend it. Like this episode, for example, like we dunk on it, like if like we don't like something. But at the end of the day, like I do love this company. I do love this style of wrestling, and you know, I will be vocal about that. And it's just such a no-win situation though, because it's like you can be non-vocal and keep your opinions in to keep the peace. People are still gonna chat shit, or you can swing
Yeah.
back and people are gonna chat shit. But I'm gonna feel better about it if I swing back. I say I'm not the bigger person. I'm not. I'm not the patron saint of AEW over here. Like I'm not the one.
Yeah, you got sometimes you just gotta admit I'm not that girl who's gonna sit back. Sometimes you just not got to be the
I'm
bigger
gonna
person, and
roll
that's
up my
fine.
sleeves.
Get ready
I'm
to
gonna get
swing.
ready. Yeah, literally. But yeah, that was a
Oh,
long. That was like 90% rant, 10% review. But I also just want to say that tomorrow we will be filming something that will be very. Everyone will enjoy. Everyone will enjoy. So keep a close eye out for that. I'm hoping that we'll at least be able to get some part of it, if not all of it, dependent on how it goes out between this review of Dynamite and next week's review. I think
mm.
that's a good time frame. So keep your eyes peeled, because if that last bit pissed you off, I'm sure that the opinions that will be had in that video, because it will be an opinionated video, will also piss you off. So roll on the controversy. And yeah, Lucy's just like fixing a mic. Lucy's really
Um,
good at wrapping up.
I'm
I'm
having
not good at
microphone
that.
issues.
Okay.
Well,
So
can you hear me? It's probably really low quality. Because my microphone
low quality, yeah,
not working.
but we're at the end. We're
Yeah,
crawling
it's
towards the
fine.
finish line.
My mic's like, I've had enough of you chatting shit. I'm out of here, love. Um, yeah, so if you haven't subscribed or followed already, please do. Then you don't miss the next video, which is going to be really exciting. And I'm dead excited to do it. And yeah, like Estelle said, if you got pissed off listening to this, yeah, prepare your ass. 'Cause there's going to be a lot of strong, bold opinions. But as
All
a
I'm gonna say is
go on.
Tony Schiavone in S tier.
Oh my God.
Pearls will be clutched.
Oh my God. Well, listen, in the meantime, while you prepare your ass for that, do leave a like and leave a comment. I want to know what you think about the Death Rider story. I want to know what you think about John Cena turning heel. And I want to know what you think about Forbidden Door weekend. And yeah, thanks so much for all the support. And we'll see you very, very soon.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you rock, and good night, bang!
I wish you died in the womb!